So yes, welcome to the second edition of TupuToa Alumni series. It's a pleasure there. Yeah, we can speak English along the way, but it's a pleasure and a privilege to have the one and only May Wright with us this afternoon here in Wellington. And so, May, just before we kick off, nice and easy, just if you'd like to introduce yourself, what cohort you were in, if you remember, where you interned, and where are you now?
Yep. Talofa lava, everyone. My name is May. I came in 2019-2020 cohort during the summer. So I was an intern at the Ministry of Education, and I'm still working at the Ministry of Education. Yeah.
Cool. And I guess simple fact, I love to ask this question straight away. So how would you compare May who interned to May now? We'll just dive straight in there. No mucking around. I love this warm-up stuff, man.
I think when I went into Ministry of Education, or first of all, give you guys a backstory, when Sione called up saying that I am going to be placed at Ministry of Education, I was like, oh, what am I going to do then? He was like, you're in business services team. And I was like, oh yeah, and what team? He was like, sustainability. And I'm like, what the heck, what am I going to do there? Like, because I had no interest. But again, I did say I'm willing to take any opportunity. So I took the opportunity, went into the business services sustainability team. They told me to do an emissions report, and I had no idea what emissions meant then. But for me, it was really just taking the opportunity and getting the foot in the door. So I think the May then, like, I was just really open. Because at the moment, I think I was quite young. I was on edge with my studies. I was like, I am going for a midlife crisis. Like, I need to do something with my life. And
midlife
if I don't,
at 21?
Yeah, at 21. Well, I wasn't 21 actually. I think I was a bit older now.
Oh, no, that's right. Done a bit of life.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do after I study? And so for me, I was just really open to anything. I will take anything that people will teach me or say to me, because I was just really open, real curious about the world, curious about the work. But at the same time, because of the openness that I had then, I was able to find my passion, and my passion has led me to where I am today. The person I am today, like, I'm so grateful for the learnings that I had back then. But I think the person I am now, I'm a lot stronger, more resilient, and I won't take anything from anyone now. So, I really built up from all those years, going through the different stages of the work life, going through, being Pacifica in the workforce. So learnt all of that. So yeah, big difference. I've grown so much from that. I think also understanding, like, who I am in the space. So yeah, I think back then I was still finding out, like, what I'm going to be like it. Because when you're going to your first corporate role, you're like, oh, I need to be like a certain person. I need to sound like them. But then after a few presentations and I hated the way I sounded, I was like, oh no.
We're the news reporter.
Really nice. Yeah, I kind of like a robot. Like, I was like, oh, I can't do this. So, if I just laugh or muck up in the middle of my presentation, everyone understands who I am. So I was like, yeah, that's all you're going to get.
It's cool. And how was it? Like, did that take a while, or how was it for you transitioning from, somebody new and nervous to obviously a lot more confident and understanding who you were? I think
during my internship alone, the support that I got, also the mentoring, Sione was my mentor, was really pushing me to be like, no, this is, you are allowed to be someone in your workplace by using your language, the way you do things. So like some people, like obviously there's so much differences that happens in there, but I'm like, oh no, this is the way I work. But I think the support, people enabling me, like, saying, you can do that, you can do that. Yeah. But I think because also the self-management thing was a big transition too. Yeah. So you are so used to people telling you what to do. And then now you're like, you got to make up those decisions because you're an adult now. Because I used to ask them if I could go to the toilet. Like,
yes,
I want to learn, wait for my manager to give me attention. I'm like, do you mind if I go to the toilet? She's like, yes, May, you can. Like, and I'm like, oh, I'm just so used to people telling me, like, when I can go, you know, that sort of stuff.
No,
yeah.
big time.
But, yeah.
So I guess we'll come back a little bit, like, you know, you introduce yourself in terms of your role and what cohort you're in. How would you introduce yourself if you couldn't use your job title and what you studied? How would you describe me?
Me?
Yeah.
Damn, we're going deep.
Yeah, I know, right? Get the shovel out, man.
My gosh. So if I'm not going to use my title or anything, I will introduce myself as a Sione Samoa, pastor's kid. Although sometimes I forget. Yeah, I think for me, just being a proud Sione Samoa, I think with my journey in terms of like cultural awareness as well, or building my cultural capability, like I used to be mad to say that as well. Like I used to say, I'll carry myself as a wahine, but why can't I just say Sione Samoa because I'm full Samoan, you know? And but again, acknowledging our people here too. But yeah, I think that's how I introduce myself.
Cool. And like, or two things. So you describe yourself as Sione Samoa and pastor's kid. Yeah. So I'm always curious because, you know, what are the first things that come to mind if you strip everything away? Because, you know, sometimes I feel like a lot of the times we introduce ourselves as a person, followed by our job title, and then followed by, you know, where we possibly studied. But it's like, okay, you were someone before then. And so, you know, out of all the things you got to pick, you pick those two things. I can relate. I'm pastor's kid, but I didn't grow up as one. But I guess for you, what was that like in terms of expectations and things like that?
Well, growing up, we had to grow up fast.
Yeah.
You know, we were in a small church down in Petone, and there weren't much like kids that are older. So like my sister was probably the oldest, and she was 16, 17 back then. So all of us started becoming like Sunday school teachers. Like when we were in high school, you know, finished Sunday school, we had to do that. You know, be part of the women's fellowship, you know, and we were literally our parents' like right hand people. Like, so the expectation was, you know, you grow up fast, but also being a good role model for everyone else. But one thing that I did appreciate being a pastor's kid was my parents literally didn't restrict us so much from the world, like if you know what I mean. Like they didn't tell us, no, you can't do this, you had to be home this way. Like they trusted us. So for us, because we got that trust, we didn't want to break that. I can say me and my siblings were quite all good kids growing up. And I think if I got to a point where I also talked to my parents, because I did change churches when I moved, when I lived here while my parents moved away. And one thing I did tell my parents that I was open to them about was, don't care about what other people say. Like, if people come and tell you stories about me and me changing churches, just know that I've told you everything before everyone knew. So and if they come with you with that stuff, just, you know, dust it off. Like, But I think, there was expectations like that, like, oh my gosh, she's the pastor's kid and she's changing a church, she's doing all this other stuff. But for me, I didn't really care about that.
And I guess having that as a foundation, May, how have you found that those principles have helped you, you know, going from intern to where you are now? And going back to that though, so what is your title now at the Ministry of Education?
Oh, so I'm the Sourcing and Selection Advisor at the Ministry of Education. So I came from being an intern, and now I run the summer internship program. So it's cool. Like you know, I can
on the other side now.
On the other side, So I get to see everything from the end-to-end recruitment, the pastoral care that we provide, and also like so rewarding seeing everyone grow from day one to like, when they finish. And we still have a lot of students who've been with us for the last 4 years since we've started. I mean, that's me. I mean, the last 3 years. And this is my third year of recruiting, and it's exciting. Last night we went to Vakuni and we had a massive turnout, and I was like, whoa, like just seeing the next generation. And I think there's a lot of, I think I'm going around like this now, but I just want to add another point.
No, absolutely.
Like, I think right now, especially in the space that I'm in, is is like, yes, we are providing some internship programs, graduate policy programs, but it does start when you're in high school.
Okay.
Your first year's like knowing what pathways are there, because I think for so long our parents are always telling us you need to be a lawyer, you need to be like a doctor, and I'm like, bro, there's so many other roles that pay more than that.
Oh, okay. You're buying lunch today, bro.
Yeah, but I think it's just like lack of knowledge or awareness.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I really want to build in the next generation. So even last night, even though we were promoting our programs, I was like, invite all the first years, second years, because we want to build the seed now.
Yeah.
So when they get to that point where they're eligible, they're like, oh, I came 3 years ago or 2 years ago, and I'm like, I think I'm ready now, and I've taken everything they've said then. But also how times change, like things that. So I was saying last night, like back in the day, when we're going to interviews, we had to dress up like a certain person, like we had to sound like someone else. But now I'm like, I want to put on my sneakers and I'll put on a cool blazer and I'll go in and be like, oh, this is me. Like, I'm not going to be yours. Like, you know, that sort of stuff. And just being open about being someone, using my church experiences, you know, a community, you know, in your own home. Like, man, we became nannies when we were like 7 years old,
Yeah. No.
Yeah. We became chefs when we were like 12. We became like all that sort of stuff. Like, there's so much skills that we carry, and I feel like people overlook that. So when we're looking for applications, I'm like, oh, this person did all of this for the youth. Like, so much, like, there's richness in there. So, sorry, I've been talking a lot.
No, I love it. And I guess we'll go back to, and so, you know, your upbringing and all of that, how did that, in hindsight now, you know, how do you see that helped you get to where you are now?
I think the whole event management, the planning and stuff, like organizing your family, and now this part, you're just like, whoa, I'm so grateful for the opportunities I had, in the church and stuff, and also with leaders, because you, like for me, I came in a space where I was so intimidated by managers. But then now, after like going to my third year of recruiting, I talk to them like this now. Cool. And like, for me, I just know it's like, oh, I know this stuff they don't know. I'm going to teach them. So like, I think it's also that confidence. And that came from where I came from. But also at the same time is respecting our elders. You know, communication is key across everything that we do. And I think also a sense of whāloalo, like, you know, and love, like you do everything out of love. But then there's a certain, you know, you draw the line.
Okay, so we'll touch on this a little bit more, right? And I feel that's so important because, you know, as Māori Pacific, we're such giving people. To the extent that burnout's become a really real thing because, you know, there's one thing to go to work, but then there's also all this other work that we do, whether it be the marae, church, community, things like that. And so I guess for you, because it sounds like you've gone through this journey of recognizing how much to give and when to intentionally rest. How was that journey for you, and what were the learnings along the way?
I think last year was a big year for me. So our team just went from 3 and then there was 1. And, you know, had a manager who came in, but then he left. Like, it was like a time of change, but it happened just when we were starting to recruit. And for me, COVID hit, we're in red light, and I noticed, I was like, oh my gosh, I put my whole life into this work, working late hours, you know, even weekends, on holidays, on taking a phone, like, you know.
You went on holiday?
I went on holiday and I was still getting calls. But for me, during that time, it was more because I'm like, I'm so passionate about this job. Like, I just want things to be done and it's done in a certain way as well. But we were under-resourced, and that's the reality of it. With that learning, I brought it to this year, and I think everyone saw me in the way that the work that came out and the people that... I kept thinking about the interns walking in on their first day, and that was going to be my reward. Like, that was just the goal for me. And I said, okay, as long as I get all these interns in here, that's my first goal. And so everything else didn't matter. Like, I put my life, like, my health, everything. And I was like, what am I doing? But then, so this year, I started to reflect back to last year and how I worked, and I was just like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do the same thing. So this year, you know, put it forward. Please, can I please have someone else in my team? So we're getting someone else in our team. I pre-booked 2 holidays.
Yes.
So I'm going on one in August and one in October, even during the recruitment. Because I'm like, no, they can wait at least for 3 days. And I'll just go reset, come back. Also, you know, when I'm traveling for work, is also saying, look, I can't go early morning and fly back in the same day. I'm going to stay there for a night and rest. So those little things. And the good thing is that my team at the same time, now they're like encouraging me to do that, because last year I was actually really stubborn. When they offer me that, I'm like, oh no, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. But that's just, I say it's that in nature we just like
hard to receive.
Yeah.
No, I've had quite a few talanos and kōreros with teachers in the past, and I don't know what it is. It's a cultural thing, but you know, how was it with you? Like, you know, actually getting to a point now where you're comfortable making demands. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, I'm so used to making demands. In my house now. Everywhere now. Now, I think it's knowing my worth. Like,
cool.
I couldn't, like, I need to put myself first. I think, and our manager, because we have a new group manager as well for our team, and every meeting she's like, please put yourself first, please put yourself first. And that's the same with my current manager now, who you know, Lillian, who's been here for a while. Good manager.
Shout out to Lillian.
Yeah, shout out to Lillian. You know, she's always looking out for my health, like a lot. Like, are you resting? Like, should you be online? Like,
she is a second mum.
Yeah, such a mum, eh? Like, and even the littlest things, they matter to me. Like, even their days off, they message like, May, I know it's busy right now. Like, are you okay? You know, just checking up, and that stuff is really important. I think, and it is, you treat them like family as well, and I think that's why sometimes it is hard to let go of the work, because you're like, no, I don't want to leave another family member down, because I'll do the same for any of my family members too. But yeah, but I guess it is now like remembering the line between myself, work, and everything else that's in my life.
100%.
Yeah.
And you've recently moved up to Auckland?
Yes.
What sort of brought that change about?
Yes, I moved to Auckland like 3 months ago. Well, as you all know, my dad is, well, I'm a PK. And originally my parents were supposed to move over to Samoa, but due to COVID, they're unable to get flights back. So they're placed in Palmerston North now. But when they were called to be placed in Palmerston North, all my stuff just arrived in Auckland. So it was too late to pull out from moving to Auckland. So you
didn't want to?
So I was just gonna move up to be with my siblings. I want to share the financial load with them, because I was thinking, oh my gosh, my parents will be in Samoa. We're gonna have to send money and stuff for the church stuff. And I just felt real selfish, like being in Wellington while they're paying off that, like paying the house, all that sort of stuff. And I think it was more for my mum and dad, like it will be better for them knowing that we're all together. And so that's why I moved originally. But now my parents are in Palmerston North. I'm just living with my siblings at home. With my 2 brothers and my sister, and also my cousin. And it's been an awesome learning experience. I've been the only one that's moved out of home, and like it's so cool. Well, funny, cool, heaps of other feelings. Just seeing the difference, like I've been so used to being independent. Like I like things a certain way, and then you see my siblings they're being so reliant on my parents for paying all this stuff. So now I'm like, no, we have to pay this certain time. Like, you know, chip away, like, you know, how we use our money, even how so bad when our parents left, we've just been eating takeaways up. You know, like, Auckland's so bad, eh? But now we made our whole family do meal preps. Like, guys, we gotta save money. We gotta, you know, we're not getting any smaller. So yeah, we've just been making a few changes. Also been learning from my siblings. Like, they're not young, they're adults now, you know. I've missed 8 years of their life, you know, seeing them grow, because I just go visit and stuff. And every time I go visit, I'm like, oh, this is so weird, but yeah, it's quite cool.
Yeah, so funny point, right? Because, you know, we talked about how your upbringing helps you in your work. So how do you feel like your work has helped you in your current situation? Because it sounds like there's been a crossover now in a way.
Yeah. Oh, a lot. I get a lot of requests from my family to check their CVs.
Oh,
You know, even the confidence took about pay, you know, about what opportunities are out there. I'm the go-to person to check their application, their contracts and stuff, which has been cool. But also there's been a change that they're really quite shocked about when we're writing a cover letter. I'm like, we just put your whole stuff there. You can put some Samoan words, like tell them your villages and stuff. And they're like, what? This is so different from when I was, you know, all the other stuff. I'm like, yeah, you know, all of these people, they go through heaps of applications. Your one needs to stand out. Like, you know, give them what they want, but also be like, you need to be different and give something else. Something about you. They'll say something, yeah, that's different from everyone. And also I think another thing is it is networking and the connections. I've been just telling them, like, it's important who you have relationship with, the people that you come across. Like, you know, do this course. Like, I've done a recent course recently, and I'm like, do this course and you'll meet people. Go do this, you'll meet people, because it's almost like it's who you know too that you'll get you places
huge.
to.
The classic saying, your network is your net worth.
Yeah, yes. I like that line.
For free, you can have it.
I'm going to start saying that. There's a lot of crossover in that space. I think also big for me, do you know how you're in your workplace? So easy for you to speak life, build up people, you know, and then you go to your siblings, you're like, oh my gosh, it's so annoying. But for me, it's being able to do the same for my siblings. So they're like, oh my gosh, I know my worth. Like, this is so cool. I didn't know that about myself. So I want to do the same, be the same May in the work and at home as well. Nice. So yeah, it's quite cool. I do it to all of my cousins as well. Again, before quite demanding, love to bring family together. So when we're in together, have good conversations, so like building them up again as well. But at the same time, it's like it has to be real in me first before I can give those words away. So just reminding myself, be confident in you, May, and you can build that onto everyone else as well.
And do you find that's a constant, ongoing thing, May? Like,
Definitely a constant thing, and something that we gotta do every day. Like I really feel I'm 26 now. You know, I've had some pretty low times, but even for me, during even those lowest moments, you remember the calling over your life. And for me, it was like, man, this is not my ending. But just constantly remembering who you are and how, and the people around you. Like, you know, it's a gift. You're a gift, and you imparting your life and everything that you've been through is gonna bless others as well. So, you learn a lot from those moments, eh?
I feel like you need to pay you, man. That's good, but
how much is for a session?
We'll invoice later. Right? But hey, look, we do know you're busy, so just a couple more things before we round up, May. Thank you so much for this. Has been awesome. Vision, you know. So, what do you see for your future now?
Awesome. So for me, in the short term, in the next 2 years, I want to move overseas. Okay. I want to go over to the UK, in London. For me, everyone that I've worked around, and I love, you know, it's like an intergenerational thing where our elders like learn from us and we learn from them, and from our recruiters, majority of them have worked overseas. And so for me, I'm like, I think I'm missing that. And I've never, even in my life, thought I would ever move overseas or visit. I wasn't that person that wanted to travel. I thought, I want to travel all the islands because I feel just being safe. I was scared. And then, like, just talking to everyone, they were like, you know, I went overseas, I did some recruitment stuff here, and I was like, whoa, I think I can do that too. So me and one of my best friends are going to move over in 2 years. Just going to experience, you know, get stretch out the skills that we have, have a diverse perspective of how work looks like overseas compared to New Zealand. And I want to do it for like a year or two, and then come back here and have my 30th party. But that's my short-term goal at the moment, just getting more experience. I think later down, I'm not too sure. I'm hoping to be in the same space about just working with people, really inspiring young people as well. Like, I think a lot of my work and the way I work is I would rather help people if I have been in the same position. Cool. Like, because I feel like there's so much power in that. Like, because I can't be, I think I've shared this so many times, I want to be the message and then I could be the messenger. And I can't talk from a place where I have never experienced. Yeah, like, so because I used to do that. Because, back in the day, I'll be like, hey, don't drink. But really, I was like, I didn't understand how that was, or all that sort of stuff. Like, I said, because do you know how the thing you said, you can't do that, but I've never experienced it myself. And I was like, man, you got to do it first. Or, no, you don't have to do it, but like, go through it first, and then you can go and provide the advice, because you can't, I can't tell you to lose weight if I haven't lost the weight. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah.
What is it? Be the change you want to see in the world type thing. Yes.
Man, you're like just dropping some points now. Can you just write it down for me?
That exchange, so good.
Yeah. I think that's my vision, where I want to go. I've had big dreams too, like I really want to be a financial advisor for Pacifica people. I think majorly in Samoan, because I can speak the language. I just want to build that gap with our parents and the kids, like the families. But that's something on the side. But so many dreams, but there's only one May, so we'll see how it all...
Important, I feel you, I know what you mean. But I love just hearing about your growth. And obviously I was there on the first day where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing here. It definitely sounds like you know what you're doing and you're open to opportunity. So I think that's such a mean message. And I guess on that note, mate, just to round up, first and foremost, thank you for your time, thank you for just sitting down to have this talanoa. It's been a privilege, and I feel like it's one that could go on for hours, but you're a busy woman, so we won't do that against you. But just takeaways, one or two. We don't need a whole list. I know you got a lot, but if you just one or two takeaways for people either applying for TupuToa or just applying for opportunities full stop, or people who are maybe thinking, oh man, I want to change careers or something like that. Could you just possibly speak to them as we round up?
I think for me, it's always take the opportunities, like step out, don't be afraid, like, and also the biggest, what's the word? I had a word. No. Sorry. There's a word I can't, it's like critic.
Don't be your worst critic?
You're your own...
Oh, yes, you're your own worst critic.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, you said it. Sorry. Like, honestly, like, talk yourself out of those thoughts.
Like overthinking?
Like the overthinking, like, man, just apply, put yourself out there, make the network. Don't be scared to just email the people that you've just networked with, because that connection will probably lead you somewhere. And I've heard so many stories. Like, I've heard your story, how you connected with Anne, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, even the many things that you get out of the connections. And also for people are doing career change, like, it's okay. Like, I went into the ministry doing business sustainability, and I found my own passion, and it was people. If I had not made those connections, I'll probably be somewhere else right now. But I think just don't be afraid of change. And it's okay to change things all the time. Like,
And just finally, are people able to connect with you on LinkedIn? Is that the best way?
Stop your... No, you can connect me on LinkedIn, May Wright. Yeah, I think that's all my other names are not on there. But also,
Oh, you're catfish.
I think I'm catfish already because when people see my name, May Wright, and then they go on my profile, like, she's brown. Yeah, no.
The assumptions, eh?
Yeah, been through that. Can I tell you a story?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when I was in high school, I went into a class and read a reliever, and she goes to me, "Oh, what's your name?" And I was like, "May Wright," and she was like, she had to double check with someone else. She thought I was lying. Wow. So now that caused some trauma. But for me now, like because I have my Samoan last name, but I've never had that ever in my life because my mum and dad had May Wright. Yeah. So I just add all my villages on my signature, and I have Whakatau Lava and Talofa everywhere else. So, yeah, that's a story. Yeah.
I think it's an awesome way to end, mate. And yeah, it's such the way you talk about seeing people change in your role now. That's how I've felt over the last 4 years with TupuToa. And so I love, you can call it succession or the next generation. I love seeing you now be the shoulders that others get to stand on. So I just want to honour you, May. It's been, a blessing just to sit again. Yeah. I think we get busy in life and, we need to be intentional about making these moments. But making sure they're purposeful, eh? Like, a lot of people talk about, I don't like small talk. Well, neither do I. Yeah. Neither do I. So I love these chances to tala noa. And so, thank you for coming in on your busy schedule, May. We wish you all the best. We send you all our love, and I'm sure next time we'll have dinner in Spain where you're overseas.
Yes, No, and I just want to say thank you to our TupuToa family for inviting me today. I think it's so awesome that, we've said we're so busy and stuff, but we still come together once or twice, 3 times a year, and it's still the same. And that's what family's like, right? You're like that uncle and auntie that I want to see like every year, or the cousin, and it's cool. I'm real grateful for this opportunity, and this is really the pathway that I got into where I am today. I'm so grateful, and when you called me yesterday to come do this, I was like, damn, if it wasn't TupuToa, I wouldn't have done it. But it's TupuToa, I'm going to do it. Really thankful. And Whakatau Lava for everything. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, May. Bless you. And make sure you join us in for episode 3 in the coming weeks. Mahalo.